namaste, guys. I am Dr. Anushruti and I'm back with yet another amazing episode. Posture. I know how much posture revolves around us. This word actually makes us concerned about our body, about our look. And yes, remember, a good posture makes you look good. So, why not to discuss this with someone who's an expert in it? So, today on board, our special guest is Dr. David Hagerty, who's a physical therapist and a strength coach. So, let's not waste time and directly speak to him. Hello, Dr. David, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am fine, thank you. Well, very first question on your way. What is a good posture? I mean, we have heard about terms like importance of posture, how much posture is important, and how much it makes us look good. But most of us are unaware about a good posture. What exactly do you find a good posture as?
There's probably a lot of ways to kind of talk about what a good posture is in kind of any like it kind of depends on your position, right? Like if you're sitting, there's basically we talk about kind of having a base of support, which would be like what we call your sits bones or your hip bones, right? And then almost stacking like your upper body over top of that, right? And putting your feet pretty much flat on the floor. And then like when we're in standing, a lot of times what we're talking about is kind of the same. It's making like a base of support with your feet that's wide enough, that's comfortable enough for you to kind of find stability. And by stability, I mean like good posture is essentially almost easy to be in if you're kind of if you just set yourself up to be in a good position. The thing that's and then in standing, what we also want to do is then kind of put our hips over top of our feet and then basically put our shoulders and our head over top of our hips. So you create like you kind of think of it like a pyramid, right? The when you have a solid base, the rest of it can sit atop the pyramid easier. But then the one thing that I will make a caveat on and is that we shouldn't have to be in like a rigid posture all the time. That's something that can create kind of what we call like a hypervigilance, right? Where people maybe are afraid that they're in a bad posture. And really good posture is kind of more of like it's kind of dynamic, meaning, finding if you're lying on the couch and you're watching TV and it's comfortable, then don't really worry about like, oh, is this a perfect posture? But like at work, and maybe when lifting weights and stuff like that, we do want to start to think about efficiency of movement. And so there's essentially, if we want to talk about what good posture it is, it's like body control and having a good base of support. And then being able to adapt and move in different ways on a regular basis. That's kind of like it's more complex than just like perfect posture. Like honestly, good is often good enough. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Also, why do you think is the reason behind people getting a hunched back nowadays? Like what I assume is work from home, the the energy we are sitting with and the long period of times we often have lower back pain as well. But we'll move on this topic later on. But the question right now is why exactly people are now having so much of bad posture nowadays?
I think it's hard to like make one specific reason, but for the most part, it's because people probably aren't moving enough and they're not developing strength and practicing movement in a variety of positions, right? A lot of times we can spend a good amount of time in front of the computer or in front of our phone, right? And it's not that those things are bad in and of themselves, but it's just like you're training yourself to be in that posture where is you want to train yourself to be in all sorts of postures, right? Like this is why exercise and like lifting weights and that type of thing is important because when you're doing those activities, you're training yourself to get strong in various postures that help us feel better, and then also be able to like like they give us more options when we're working at a computer or on our phone, right? But if we're like humans interestingly and not really that interestingly, but we kind of tend to find the easiest way to do something. And a lot of times that's kind of hunched forward with their head up. And then if you sit in that type of position for a long time, it could potentially lead to like a rounding hunchback type of situation, right? And then that can also contribute to some people experiencing pain in those positions as well. So
And how is lower back pain, related to poor posture? Like a lot of people who are self-proclaimed doctors often say that they are having lower back pain because of poor posture, or everything is just happening because of poor posture. So how much is lower back pain related to poor posture, and subsequently, is there any other causes of lower back pain specifically?
Yeah. That it's hard to, like, most of us, like, humans, we are complex. We're complex systems. So finding one cause is tricky, right? But a lot of times what it is kind of what I just alluded to, where people tend to be in one posture for a lot of the time, right? And getting up and moving allows you to essentially just train yourself to be strong in various postures, which we found often leads to people having less incidence of low back pain and that type of thing, right? Um, I think it's not that people just aren't strong enough, but people aren't moving enough. And when we move more often, a lot of times we just frankly feel better, both physically and emotionally, which tends to help people navigate their pain experience a lot better. Low back pain is something that, unfortunately, like, I think it's like 85% of all people will experience in some point at some point in their lifespan, right? And so going back to your initial question, it's not that, like, it's a lot of times it's simply, you can't really, like, control pain per se, but you can control your movement and you can control what you do, and that typically helps people get out of pain. It's kind of like, you're going on a trip and you know the destination, but you might have to, like, and let's say that destination is getting out of pain. You might not know the exact route you take or the exact roads you're going to take, but you're moving in the right direction. And that's, like, kind of the thing we want to instill in people is, there's no perfect plan, but a lot of times, if we start on the road and we help get people get stronger and more confident in their bodies, they can alleviate their back pain. They can alleviate whatever other pain they might have.
Also, Dr. David, as a physical therapist, what is the role of a physical therapist in managing a good or perfect posture for people and patients?
Yeah. I mean, I think helping people understand that they, throughout the day, like, if you're somebody that works at a computer for a long period of time, it can be really beneficial to change your posture on a regular basis, meaning stand up, go for a quick walk, get up and stretch for a moment or two in between tasks and that type of thing. um Being okay with, adjusting your monitors or adjusting, like, how your setup is in your environment. um and then frankly, like, taking breaks where you can, like, do a few stretches or something that just feels good, because the way a lot of this stuff seems to work is it kind of, like, if we don't do anything, it just kind of grows in our mind, and the pain sensation will kind of grows. But the more we can break things up, the better we tend to feel. um just an example of this is, I don't know, we get snow where I'm at. Do you have snow? Like, do you get, like, cold snow and anything?
No,
So
it is in the various parts, like other parts of India, but not here mostly. It's like
so this
tourist places over there.
Gotcha. So this morning I had to shovel snow, and, like, I haven't had to shovel snow very much, and my back started hurting. And I'm like, all right. So I just, like, stood up, took, like, a break for a moment or two. And then I continued, and it basically, I showed myself that, okay, this isn't, like, something really scary and debilitating. It's just I need to change essentially my posture, and kind of reset and begin again. Does that make sense?
It does, absolutely. Well, with this, Dr. David, I would like to introduce you to one of the biggest segments of my show where we answer the questions of my followers and patients. So, is Dr. David ready to answer the questions I have for him?
I am, sure.
Okay, so the first question is coming directly from Karan Sehgal from Mumbai. He says, I am a student of 10th grade, but my lower back is actually paining. Is it normal to have lower back pain at certain age? Also, what are some preventive measures that I can take?
Um, it is unfortunately normal, like, that, to have low back pain as someone who's relatively young. It is normal, and it's unfortunate, but it's not something that, is going to be debilitating or for the rest of your life necessarily. Some of the best things I would say is to just try to get as very physically active or as physically active as you can. You know, basically, I would encourage people if they're experiencing low back pain and they're relatively young to experiment with like stretching or some type of yoga, strength training in various forms. Really in the United States, we have what we call the activity guidelines, which I don't know if you're aware of those, but basically, it's basically a certain amount of exercise per week and then in combination with like strengthening type stuff. And when people do a pretty decent job of hitting those things, they have less incidence of pain and they also are generally more healthy. So just be active and keep moving and keep kind of a positive attitude about it.
Okay, Karan, I hope you got your answer and you don't need to worry about it. Next, moving on, we have Daksh Sethi from Rajasthan. He says, "Hello, Dr. David. Greetings from India. How are you?" Okay, so his question is, I am having cervical pain for the past 10 weeks. 10 weeks. Is it because of my poor posture? Also, I sit in front of my laptop and computer for around 8 hours continuously. What is the treatment for this?
So he's had low back pain for 10 weeks, you said?
Cervical pain.
Oh, neck pain for 10 weeks or so. So I would honestly say to try to start taking little breaks from that. That 8 hours continuously is really tricky. Humans don't like to be in front of doing anything for 8 hours. It's pretty tricky, right? And then I would encourage just gentle movement of your neck on a regular basis, because a lot of times we do kind of just get stuck in one position, even if we don't notice it, because we've all done this where we're on our phone and we're like really glued in. And then just gentle motion side to side is really powerful. Like basically think of it this way. If all you're kind of doing is in one or two positions and you can start to just change your positions on a more regular basis, like give yourself more things, and then also standing up and doing like a big reach, like make yourself kind of change positions a lot. That can be really, really helpful, and it can start to show you. And it's not going to happen necessarily immediately, but usually when things feel good, those are good signs that we should keep doing them. So stretching, movement, gentle stuff can be really good.
And at this point, I would remind my audience who are watching this video on various platforms and listening to the audio on various platforms from various countries, this is your reminder to move your neck and body a little, but do not stop listening or watching this. The end is not here. Well, next question we have, who wants to be anonymous, says, I am started with weightlifting right now. I feel pain in my back. So certainly it's back, not lower back. So I have pain in my back. Is it happening because of lifting too much weight? Should I stop lifting or should I decrease the weights, or is there any other option?
It's hard to know exactly what's going on without seeing like your technique or looking at what you're doing. But generally, when people are experiencing pain in the gym with lifting, a very simple way to kind of reset and begin again is to just go back and go a little lighter and see if just that helps with your symptoms. If you go back and go lighter and it's still kind of giving you symptoms, basically then I would pivot or just choose a different exercise that's almost similar to what you're trying to do, and kind of start there and see how that feels. And then if you still you start lighter and you choose a different exercise that's similar and you're still having issues, then I would still go to the gym. I would just kind of alter my lifting and maybe do more machine based things for a little bit, or just keep it really, really simple. And then kind of build back up. A lot of times it is people start too heavy and they also do too much as they're beginning. They go too many times a week and they're trying to do too much weight when they first start, and you need to start really small and build up. And that's tricky, but it's very doable. And a lot of times it can help people not have this type of pain.
Absolutely. Next, we have Pragati Sharma from New Delhi. Well, have you heard about New Delhi, Dr. David?
I of New Delhi, I have, but I don't know a ton. Yeah.
Okay, New Delhi is the capital of India, and I am in New Delhi.
Okay,
Well,
cool.
so the question is, I just delivered a baby boy 6 weeks ago. Congratulations, Miss Pragati. I am having severe pain in my lower back since that day. Is it because of certain problems, or I should feel it and ignore it as a as an after effect of pregnancy? Also, Dr. David, my question to you is, what shall I do to overcome this and lose weight? So
So
probably the question that every pregnant woman has postpartum.
yeah. So postpartum, it is unfortunately very common for people to have both like pelvic pain and low back pain. My wife is actually she specializes in postpartum and pelvic health. The big things that can really beneficial. Sorry, my son's coming in a little hard right there, but are working on like breathing and relaxation type of drills and exercises can be really beneficial because a lot of times postnatal you're under a lot of stress because now you have a newborn baby and you just went through a lot of stress, so it's kind of helping yourself calm down. And also your diaphragm is a giant muscle, and your pelvic floor are also a system of muscles, so deep breathing can be really beneficial, and it's not really that tricky to do, right? Take a deep breath in your nose and then out your mouth and repeat that. Walking, walking and just getting started and going a little further can be really beneficial because it's literally the starting point for how we typically move as adults, right? And then yeah, a few simple exercises that I can't really, because I don't know you specifically, it's hard to give to you, but even sitting up and down from a chair kind of for repetitions can be kind of an entry point to squatting. And it's kind of like that last question where it's like we need to find a starting point that's small and tolerable, and then we just need to gradually build up. And as you get stronger and as you kind of let your body heal post birth, postnatal,
Yeah.
uh because there is healing that's going on. It just takes some time, but you also want to start to show yourself that you can get out of pain and get stronger. So yep. And
Also,
then
here I would, yeah.
the weight issue is a lot of times we need to it's not an issue, but we need to make sure we kind of know how much food we should be taking in for like our health. And then you can either try to just decrease a little bit of that food over time, or and then you can increase your activity. And when we typically do those two things, good stuff starts to happen when it comes to weight.
Also, here I would like to remind all the women, beautiful ladies out there in their postpartum period, that your body is really beautiful and you have done a very great job right now. So love your body and love this phase of your life. Well,
Yeah.
bingo, Dr. David, you just gave all the answers. Okay, moving on. Last but not the least, Dr. David, what will be your biggest three advices? Biggest three advices to everyone who's listening and watching this podcast for having a good posture and to avoid lower back pain in their life.
I think the first and foremost one, I agree with you, is to appreciate your body and how capable it can really become. Both whether or not I mean, having a baby is amazing. Like, I don't think I could ever do that. So it's incredible. But really kind of appreciating your body and not being afraid of kind of things that happen that are almost normal. Like pain is a normal, unfortunate experience, but it's something that we all go through. Um, so that's kind of the first one, is just to kind of love and appreciate your body, because that actually has really good effects on us mentally. Move a lot. If you're One of the biggest things with posture is, yes, there are postures that if you ever watch somebody play like tennis or a sport, they're in postures that allow them to do their tasks really, really well. And it's the same when we're sitting typing, right? If we kind of set up our desk in a way that's efficient and it takes less energy for us to do that, that's typically something that allows people to feel pretty good. And then change your position and move a lot, right? Make little breaks in your day. Go for a 5-minute walk on a regular interval. Do a few stretches in between. If you're like on phone calls throughout the day, or you're doing like tasks and stuff, make sure you break those up and try to, in what we a lot of times we'll call them like movement snacks, like you're taking a little break and you're doing movements that like feel good, and then they kind of show your body that you're not just in one posture all the time.
Okay, well, with this, we have come to an end of this episode, but I would like to thank Dr. David here to spare some time out from his schedule to speak to us on this important topic. Thank you so much, Dr. David, for joining in, and I hope that you liked speaking to us.
Yeah, thank you. It was very fun. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Well, with this is your reminder to straighten your back, have a good posture, keep moving your body, and drink a glass of water. We'll meet in the next episode. Till then, take care. Goodbye.